Hey guys, what's good? JJJBoxing here. So we had the final press conference between Canelo and Charlo yesterday. I'm gonna make my final prediction on this fight. I think that it's an interesting fight because it could go different ways. Like there's a lot of variables here that I'll get into. Like Canelo, is he slipping? He hasn't looked maybe the same that he's looked in the past, but it's really hard to say. Um, is that wear and tear on his body? Was it the hand? I don't know. He came back against John Ryder with the healthy hand, and he was getting hit a lot in that fight. Later in that fight, and clean too, and he couldn't get Ryder out of there, but he did drop him and he did batter him. The Triple G3 fight, he didn't look he didn't look good, and he faded severely in the second half of that fight, and that's why I say he didn't look good. Where was his gas tank? He let Triple G bank a lot of rounds later in that fight that made it actually a close fight. And then you had the Bivol loss. So it's hard to say, is he slipping, or is just Canelo facing top competition? I was gonna say, like, high level guys always give Canelo problems, even the fights he wins. Like Caleb was giving him problems, Billy Joe Saunders was giving him problems, but he won these fights. But then again, when I think of Ryder's not that kind of slick boxer like those guys. He's not a high level guy like those names, and he's getting hit quite a bit from that. So I think that fight is more to be looked into for the slipping, as well as the Triple G3 fight, because Bivol is Bivol. He's a beast. He's too good. It's the reason why Canelo lost that fight was because Bivol. But the Triple G3 fight, it was a 40-year-old Triple G waiting to be beat dominantly in a dominant fashion, and he couldn't do it. And not even was he not dominant, it became a close fight in that second half because he let all those rounds, most of the rounds, slip away in the second half when he was gassing out, and he was letting Triple G have very clear rounds for him. So there's that. What else? You have, like I said, the John Ryder. Yeah, so is he slipping? Was it the hand injury? I don't think so, because John Ryder proved it wasn't the hand injury, and he was getting hit quite a bit. Bivol wouldn't say he's slipping either, because Bivol's just too good. But the Triple G3 fight and the John Ryder fight makes me believe he's slipping. But who knows? This fight will tell us for sure. Is he slipping? And then you got Charlo. The other variable is he's been inactive for a while, and he's had that hand injury that he's still rehabilitating in the episode 2 of All Access. So, and we all know Canelo had his hand injured, and he's had actually more time to recover than Charlo's. Charlo's is more recent. So is that going to affect him going into the fight? And then not only that, let's just say that's fine, and they're just say he's just at the end of the healing process. It's already fully healed. They're leaving no stones unturned, and they're still kind of massaging the hand and rehabilitating it, even though it's fully healed pretty much. Well, just say that's fine. You got to look at, this is a big stage for Charlo, and I know he's undisputed at 154, but the way he got undisputed was facing guys that have nowhere near the names that Canelo has fought. And Canelo is, when you face Canelo, it's a big event. And will he be caught like a deer in the headlights? Is the moment going to make him too nervous and expend more energy during the fight and not live up to his potential because the moment's too big for him? That happens to fighters. They look great in the gym. When the moment comes, just the nervousness and the anxiousness zaps all their energy, or they're just not sticking to their game plan. So yeah, he got undisputed, but like I said, none of those were big, massive fights really. Like sure, it was for undisputed against Castano, but really, that's not a huge event. Like this is a huge event, and Canelo has had many of them against Triple G, against Miguel Cotto, against Floyd Mayweather. Um, like all of those are huge. And then there's other fights that he's had that are they're all big because it's a Canelo fight. But I'm saying he's been in those big moments, and Charlo really hasn't been in those big fights. So how is Charlo going to respond to those hot lights beaming down on him in the ring? How is he going to deal with the crowd cheering like nuts, like crazy? So those are the few variables I just mentioned. Canelo, is he slipping? Or is, like I said, is he just doesn't know how to deal with boxers, right? Slick boxers. So if Charlo uses a slick style and just boxes and keeps a good, controls the distance, uses the jab and his length, and not be too aggressive, only push the action in spots like Bivol does. So boxers give Canelo a problem. That could be why we see the slipping. We think it's slipping, but really it's not slipping. It's just Canelo has problems against certain fighters. But I tend to believe it is slipping just because the John Ryder and the Triple G3, like Triple G3 was really old, and he was there to be hit. He was starting to slip. Triple G was starting to slip. You could see it in his fights. And the John Ryder is not a slick boxer, and he was hitting Canelo a lot. That's why I picked that option. Canelo is slipping, so you have that variable there to consider in this fight. And then you have Charlo's hand. Is it fully healed? And you have Charlo's inactivity. And then you have Charlo's inexperience at that big name event level. So there's more things that Charlo will have to overcome. And once he overcomes those, can he stick to the game plan? Because if he doesn't and he tries to brawl too much and be in close quarters with Canelo for too much of the round, like what I've seen with Castano at times, he stayed in the pocket with Castano quite a bit, which you cannot do with Canelo. Castano is not Canelo. Canelo is a lot stronger, a lot more experienced, and he's got more power than Castano, and he hits a lot heavier. Castano's maybe quicker because he's at the lower divisions, but Canelo is the better guy. He's the stronger guy. If you let Canelo sit down on his shots, he's going to break you. He's going to break your body, break your arm, break your face. We've seen Billy Joe. We've seen, was it Liam Smith or Callum Smith? His arm was busted up. We've seen like I said, Billy Joe's face busted up. Bivol's arm was busted up. You don't want to get hit from Canelo. And how do you do that? You maintain distance. You maintain distance, you frustrate Canelo, and at times when he's frustrated and he's a bit tired, then you go in and you land power shots, but you don't want to stay there too long. Like Bivol pretty much put the perfect blueprint out there. If you have the legs to do it and you have the right, if you just know how to judge distance in boxing, you know how distance works and how to maintain it, you can follow that Bivol game plan and be very successful. And when I see Charlo fight, he's got strong, good legs. I feel like he can do the in and out movement of Bivol. And he does have I wouldn't say he's a master of distance the way Bivol is, but he does have, I believe he does have the skills to maintain the distance. It's just, will the mental and physical pressure of Canelo get to him, or can he maintain that game plan? Which we'll see how good his conditioning is, right? I believe he possibly can, to be honest. He's not as good as Bivol, Charlo, but I do believe he has the strong enough legs to do that, to keep his distance. He's got good footwork, Charlo, and good strong legs. And I'm just worried that if he tries to sit down and fight with Canelo too much, like we see with the Castano fights, which obviously you tailor your style to your opponent's style depending on who you're fighting. So I'm not saying he's going to do that against Canelo, but if he does, I don't think that's smart You have to do either what Mayweather did and just completely kind of box. Actually, Mayweather was kind of aggressive in that fight too, to be honest. He was landing combinations on Canelo because Canelo's like, his feet are like in quicksand. He's got slow feet. But Canelo was really young in that point. I would say forget about the Mayweather fight because it's too long ago. And you cannot fight like Triple G. Triple G is the only one that could stand in front of Canelo and fight a fire fight. Other than that, everyone else has been knocked out. You cannot do that. You look at James Kirkland. He tried doing it. Look what happened. So you have to look at the Bivol game plan. You got to box. You have to maintain distance. That is the most important thing in this key to victory for Charlo. Maintain your distance. Use the jab. Use your good legs, your good movement. But you also have to get Canelo's respect. You have to sit down on your shots at times like Bivol did. So when Canelo was looking a bit tired, taking a little breather or frustrated, go in and land your hard 1-2 hard or a 1-2-3 like a 1-2 and then a hook, a big strong hook. What is that? It's a hook of 3, right? Yeah, so do the 1-2, the 1-2-3. Just do some kind of powerful shot in there when Canelo is taking a breather or is frustrated. That's what Bivol did. And then Canelo be like, it'll wake Canelo up and like, oh, okay, this guy does have a little bit of power, and I don't want to get hit with that, and I don't want to get too aggressive. So, because if the problem is, if you try pot shot and throwing lighter shots on the outside, Canelo will, sure, you'll win rounds, but Canelo won't respect your power, and eventually he will get more confident and get more brave to go in there because he knows your shots aren't hurting that much, and he'll look with Caleb Plant, right? That's exactly what happened. Boxing perfectly, he wasn't putting enough power on his shots though. He wasn't sitting down enough, and he was just trying to use his legs too much and win rounds, and then Canelo eventually got to him, right? With Billy Joe, he just kind of timed him perfectly with that uppercut, like, because Billy Joe was doing that head movement, and he knew where his head was going to be, so that was just a great IQ by Canelo, knowing that he was going to catch him eventually. But yeah, so you don't want to box completely. You want to sit down on your shots sometimes and land powerful combinations on Canelo, but keep it to a minimum unless Canelo's like really drained later in the fight. You do not want to sit down with Canelo close range. Canelo will land vicious body shots on you, vicious hooks, vicious shots. Like Canelo throws all his shots with vicious power, and that's one of his cons as well as one of his pros, because it can work out. Because look at with Kovalev, knocked him out. Look at with Billy Joe, knocked him out. Look at with Caleb, knocked him out. But if you look at all those fights, he's losing rounds. But the thing is, he's losing rounds because he's putting too much power in every one of his shots, that he's not focusing more on just banking rounds. He's focusing just on landing one hard shot and getting you out of there, which can work for him like it did in those fights, but it can backfire like it does with the Bivol fight, right? So you do not want to sit down and fight with Canelo. That's just no go, especially at the start of the fight. Move around, use your legs, throw strong jabs though. You want to put power in your shots. You don't want to do pity pat shit against Canelo either. So even though you're boxing and keeping a distance, do straight powerful shots to keep Canelo at bay at a distance. And then when it's time, you can go inside and do your combinations and your hooks when you see Canelo is a bit wary. So that's my game plan for Charlo. Distance, jab, gain Canelo's respect at times by like I said. But for Canelo, his game plan, everything is on his side, really. He's got the experience. He's been on this high level. He says is the hands fully healed. He's feeling great. They always say that, but you can't always believe them, because every fighter always says this is the best training camp, and then after the fight they're no good. But he seems to be in good spirits to me. So Canelo really just has to try not to gas out, to be honest, because Canelo's he's pretty much stuck into his style lately. He's throwing very hard shots but losing rounds because he's focusing more on just landing haymakers. And that, like I said, that could be his downfall in this fight. If he can't land one that hurts, because if he don't hurt you, he's losing rounds. But then again, the judges are on his side, so you have to factor that in. But in the fans' eyes, we know who really wins the fight. So Canelo, he just got to be Canelo and work more on. Hopefully, his gas tank is better. He's better conditioned than his previous fights, because this fight is going to be tough, and it's going to be tougher than the John Ryder fight in the sense that he'll have to think more against Charlo. So, yeah, guys, Canelo, you just got to break Charlo down. When Charlo decides to maybe stay and fight a little too long, capitalize on that. Land vicious body shots, shots to the arms, just heavy shots to his guard, everything. Break him down physically and mentally with your pressure. So that would be my strategy for Canelo, just because you're not going to... I don't think he's going to outbox Charlo. He just has to do what he normally does. He breaks you. He breaks bodies. He breaks faces. That's what he's got to do. Bait Charlo into doing something. Bait him out of his game plan by wanting him to fight with you, right? Try to entice him to fight with you. I would do that, and if he can do that, he can hurt Charlo possibly and get him out of there. Maybe get a couple knockdowns, right? But yeah, I think it's more interesting, this fight, on what Charlo's going to do and not what Canelo, because we all know what Canelo is and what he is, right? He's not going to really change much. He does have IQ in there, but like I said, his style is his style. He lands power shots on you, and he knocks you out. That's his style. He sets you up, but he can be slow. His feet are slow. So Charlo has to be very observant of that. And so it's more interesting to see how Charlo will do in this fight than Canelo, because we seen Canelo, he does the same thing in pretty much every fight. Like, he is smart, though, but his style is his style. Like, in a sense, he is one-dimensional, but he changes his punch selection on how he thinks where your body's going to go, and he sets you up, right? But I feel like at this point, Charlo can maybe use it. He can use it. See, I feel like Canelo's legs are slow, like Oscar De La Hoya says. It's like he's in quicksand. I think that really limits him to his style, to his one-dimensional type of a style. Not to say, like, when I say one-dimensional, I don't mean it's like a very negative thing, guys. Like, Canelo can do a lot of things in with his IQ. He can still win with his style. But what I'm saying is, someone who has very good legs that can move around can really change things up and not be so one-dimensional, because they can use their legs. But with Canelo, his legs are so slow, he's stuck with his power punching style. But he can still counterpunch very good. So Charlo, it's going to be interesting. If he can stick to the right game plan and use his legs, because he does have good legs, I feel like he can win, in my eyes, on the judges, in the scorecards. I don't see him knocking out Canelo, but I could see him putting some good, strong punches and maybe hurting Canelo. Going to be hard to drop him, but I can see him rocking Canelo with his heart, because he is a decent puncher. So, yeah, guys, we'll find out how much Canelo slipped in this fight. We'll find out what Charlo really has to offer. He has the long layoff in the hand, but we'll see how that goes for him. This is just an interesting matchup, guys. Last time I checked, Canelo was the -400 favorite. So it might be a good idea to put some money down on Charlo here. Because Charlo's a heavy underdog, pretty much. What is it? I guess that's 1-4 odds that Charlo will win, right? I don't know how they work, guys. I don't really do the betting, but all I know is minus 400, so you bet 100 and you bet 400, you only get 100 back on Canelo, so that's not that good. So Charlo is definitely a heavy underdog there. So I think it could be a smart bet to put money on Charlo, considering, like, I feel like sometimes, like, betting, to me personally, it has to be worth it. If the odds are too close, then it's not worth it. But when a guy has a good chance and the odds are wide, I think that's the perfect time to bet. So my thing would be put a little money on Charlo, see how it goes. But you have to worry about those judges too. So going down to my prediction, guys, I think seeing all that I've seen from their fights, who's the fresher guy, that's a variable too. Canelo is not as fresh as Charlo. The hunger, both guys are hungry because Canelo has the chance of proving the haters wrong that he's slipping. Plus, he can beat another undisputed champion that at the weight class he used to be at. And they were supposed to fight back in the day. So there is some kind of pride there that you want to beat that guy that everyone wanted you to fight back in the day. Charlo has that same thing, though. Not only that, Charlo has improved as much as Canelo in his career. Canelo's been at the highest stage many times. So if I had to pick, I would say that Charlo's more hungrier to win this fight than Canelo. And he's moving up in the weight divisions, and he's facing the former number one pound for pound fighter in a lot of people's opinion. So that will be a big motivation for Charlo as well. So I have to give the edge there to Charlo for the hunger. So my final prediction, I think it's going to be, a lot of people think it's going to be a easy win for Canelo and it's going to be a knockout. I don't think so, guys. Which I wouldn't be surprised if he did stop Charlo. Let's be honest. I wouldn't be shocked, right? But because this fight could go so many different ways. But in my opinion, I think this fight is going to be a competitive fight where Charlo is winning a lot of rounds if he sticks to the right game plan and boxes. But the danger with him is if you want to sit down and fight with Canelo, you're going to get hurt. And that could be his downfall. So, but other than that, if he sticks to the right game plan, maintains distance, I have Charlo winning a decision in a very competitive fight. Possibly we could see Charlo just totally control the fight and win easily on the scorecards. That's a possibility. But I have to pick one prediction, and I'm going to say Charlo by decision in a close competitive fight. I think he will win more rounds than Canelo, and it will go to the scorecards. And who knows, though, what the actual judges will say. But I'm going to go with Charlo by decision, guys. But, like I said, wouldn't be surprised if Canelo won by knockout. I would be surprised if Charlo won by knockout. I'll put that out there. But let me know your prediction, guys. It's hard to really make a prediction when Charlo's never faced anyone like Canelo, and Canelo's been there, done that. So we're going to see how much Charlo really has against Canelo. This will be his coming out party. How much, because, okay, Castano's a good fighter, but nowhere near Canelo, right? We're going to find out, who Charlo really is in this fight, and I'm going to say he rises to the occasion and wins by decision. So, thanks for watching, guys. This is Triple J Boxing. Get ready for the fight. Weigh in tomorrow. Fight on Saturday, September 30th. Can't wait.